Here we go. Stocks making the biggest pre-market moves. Eli Lilly, Travelers, United Airlines, Alcoa, and more. Honeywell is getting dinged for too many things. United, that's UAE government. Is it United Arab Emirates? I believe that's what that is. Unit denies cloud seeding took place before Dubai floods. Got some things going on. Adidas shares rise 8% after surprise outlook hike. First quarter profit boost. We do have some top movers. SMCI, that's Supermicro, GL Global Life, UNH, United Health Group, Lamb Weston, and Charles Schwab. They are up there on the list. Good morning, everybody. Hope you are having a great morning so far. The stock futures rise as S&P 500 looks to snap three-day losing streak. We got the Dow futures up 0.25%. S&P futures up 0.51%. And the Nas futures up 0.43%. Europe last reported all up. Everybody's green. We got DAX up 0.66%. Also, FTSE is up 0.72%. CAC, 1.39%. They're up the most. FTSE MIB Milano up 1.17%. And Stock 600 up 0.68%. The European stocks higher despite Fed comments rattling global markets. LVMH shares up 4.7%. If you're not familiar who that is, that's Louis Vuitton, Moet. They all are under the same brand. Asia mixed. Asian markets mixed after Tuesday's broad sell-off. Singapore exports plunge more than expected. ASX 200 down 0.09%. The Nikkei is down the most, 1.32%, and Kospi down 0.98%. HSI is up 0.02%, and Shanghai is up the most, 2.14%. So here's what we got going on. The Russell 2K right now is down 0.42%. The VIX is down 3.15% to 1782. Yeah, it's on the rise. Let's just say it's higher than it has been recently. And by recently, I mean over the past year, maybe. So today we got for Forex Factory calendar, we got the IMF meetings, which I believe stands for the International Monetary Fund. That's all day, yellow folder. Or it just says all, so that could mean anything. I'm saying all day, but that actually could mean a couple other things. But it could be all currencies or all countries. 10:30 a.m., the crude oil inventories is yellow folder. At 2 o'clock, we got the beige book, yellow folder. And then at 4 o'clock, we got the tick long-term purchases. So we're done as of 4 o'clock here. But 5:30, FOMC member Messer is speaking. That is an orange folder. And then I believe this is 6:30 is FOMC member Bowman is speaking. So that should be interesting to see how all of that pans out. On investing.com, we have more activity starting at, 5 o'clock is the IMF meetings, but 7 o'clock we had one-star events, if you will. The NBA 30-year mortgage rate, the mortgage applications week over week, their purchase index, market index, and refinance index. And they were all, I guess you could say, they really didn't have a forecast over here. But it just shows you what it was previously. Usually it'll be color coded. If it's green, that's good for the economy. Red is usually bad for the economy. That's kind of how it works, but at least that's the way I've seen it. And but so this color means it didn't have a negative impact. neutral. 1030 is 3 stars for the crude oil inventories over here. Then we got the EIA refinery crude runs week over week, crude oil imports, and the crude oil inventories, which is 2 stars for the crude oil inventories. The distillate fuel production, the weekly distillate stocks, all 1 stars. Gasoline production, heating oil stockpiles, all 1 stars, as well as the EIA weekly refinery utilization rates week over week. We also got gasoline inventories. This is all still at 1030, and all of that was 1 star. At 1 o'clock, we got the bell just kicked off. So at 1 o'clock, we got the 20-year bond auction. That is a 2-star event along with the 2 o'clock beige book. So we got those 2 back-to-back, 2 stars. At 4 o'clock, after the market, we got the U.S. foreign buying T-bonds for February, the overall net capital flow for February, the tick net long-term transactions for February, which is 2 stars, and then the tick net long-term transaction, including swaps for February, which is 1 star. The last 2 stars, and that's for, again, 4 o'clock, 5:30, we got the FOMC member Mester speaking, and then the FOMC member Bowman is speaking, and that is at 7:15. Right, so we still got 2-star events happening even after market close, and of course we're not including whatever's going on in terms of what's happening at the market for earnings. So after close yesterday, we had Alcoa, Sands. Those are 2 different companies. Sorry, Alcoa, Sands, Kinder Morgan, Discover, CSX, SL Green Realty, Synovus, Liberty, Oilfield Services, and Bank of the Ozark and Crown Castle today before open. Oh, actually, no, I'm saying that wrong. I'm on the wrong day. Sorry. Let's back up 1. I saw tech and jumped the gun. My bad. We got ASML, who I have on the as the list for being charted. Abbott before market today, Prologis, Travelers, U.S. Bancorp, Bank United, First Horizon National Corporation, SHL Telemedicine, First Community Corporation, and Citizens Financial Group. That's who all reported before market today. After close today is the ones that I just named. And then before open tomorrow was going to be TSMC, which is Taiwan Semiconductor. You got Nokia, Blackstone Group, Key Bank, Elements, Health, DR Horton, Alaska Airlines, Texas Capital Bank, Infosys, and Ally Bank. And then of course after close tomorrow is Netflix, Intuitive Surgical, PPG, Western Alliance Bank Corporation, Metropolitan Commercial Bank, Alpine, Bladex, and SB Financial Group, with PFG Provident Financial Group finishing that off in First Western. So we still got some banks and things of that nature that's rotating through and probably giving people a scare. Who knows? Ain't no telling what's going on. Good morning, Tamar. Good morning, Janae, Marcia, Celine. Good morning, Lady T, Michelle. Good morning. Welcome to the jungle. All right. We got Mancini. Take a look at our Mancini numbers. After market trend day, Tuesday was a basing day, SPX. And 50-51 level was an at the money machine, testing liquidity, grabbing below 11 times, with each working 50-74 was target. Just hit again. So plan today is no change, 50-57, 51 support. If it keeps 50-74, 50-85 through 88 is live. No real sell unless 50-41 fails. All right. So the emergency number, if you will, is going to be 50-41. Now, I was paying attention overnight. The SPX closed about 50-51. ES closed about 50-92, something like that. 51-17 is where ES was. about market open, just before market open. So I was expecting the market to start down, at least for the beginning of the day, but we'll see what is happening. And we are going to go to SPX, and we're going to drop these numbers on here. All right. So we got a gap up. So I'm expecting that to fill. Who knows if it will or not, but we shall see. So we're going to mark this gap as the gap up for this morning. If you have any tickers you want looked at, feel free to drop them. If you have any trades that you want to cry over, we're here for you. We support you. So I'm the one that'll be doing the majority of the crying. So we got that going on. Let's get our Mancini numbers. So we got 5041 as a very important number here. Drop that in there. 5041 is the emergency number right here. All right. So we're going to put that in red. Put that like that. We want to make sure that stands out. Okay. Then we want to look at, well, we got 5057 through 51. So 5051, we can do a rectangle for that. Do a rectangle, 5057 through 51. We'll do that. 5057. Let's see. Well, 5051. Right, we're gonna put that on there. There's gonna be support. Oops, we'll just use this. Do it this way. All right, 5051, 5057. And here's the line that we're trying to stay legit on. And then we got the one up above, the line up above, which would be we can say 5074. That'll be the point at the top, 5074. So we're gonna duplicate this. We can do 5074 as one line, and then we'll do 5085 to 88. Let's do that. 5085, 5088. Right. So all I'm doing is just putting on the chart where the areas are that Mancini mentioned, right? So as the day progresses, be looking at where this is at in its journey towards the closing bell. And 5074 is the other one I'll add. And then we're out of here. So let's do 5074. It's another Mancini number. Just drop that in there. And that is an important line. So that's what we got. It's right at that line right now, as a matter of fact. The 5074. So we'll be circling back to that. Obviously, we haven't had enough time for the breakout lines to start, but we have our gap up so far. We got it pushing up. There is a resistance point here at 5073-ish, which is the line we just put on there. So we got enough activity where it has been rejected before or has respected this line before. So we'll check and see what happens. All right. All right. What else? I don't see any tickers, so we'll keep it moving. So that's what we got going on with SPX. Depends on how you look at it. We could take a look at I guess SPY, generally speaking. But this is what happened yesterday. Since we're here, let's This is a whole little roller coaster. Every time I see this look, I just imagine like a little car that's just riding it and then just falling off the cliff right here. Just drop off. The drop off was real. So it did its thing when it opened, went up. Everybody was all good. But man, when it started coming down, it retested. Well, it hit this line, but it broke past its low. And this is again on the 15-minute chart, but it kept trying to get down here and the buyers kept pushing it up. So it ended up closing higher than it opened on yesterday, but it created a sell level up here. And that's where it's trying to go today. So depending on what you were looking at on yesterday, if you were down here, I know I would have been scared because right here, even if you would have put a PCS, this would have been some serious. I know I would have got out of that trade. I ain't gonna even lie. All right, like I'm bouncing. We're going. Let us take a look at some of the. We got a couple pre-market movers for today. So while SPX is simmering, United Airlines is one of the pre-market movers. And on the monthly chart, I do see a seller zone up here, very strong seller zone. There's something obviously going on in here. I don't know if I guess you could consider this a chair, but it's actually been through that right there. So I don't know how much of this you want to mess with in terms of the buyer zone, but y'all know who really is tripping me out right now is Boeing, dude. Yo, I'm paraphrasing their response, but they basically like are like, why everybody mad at us? Like, you're like, dude, your planes keep popping parts off, dude. They say, is this Mr. Potato Head plane? What are you talking about? What did we do? Why y'all mad at us? It wasn't all the planes, really. Y'all looking at the one plane that the door fell off. What about all these other people? Y'all so dumb.
They're like, what do you mean? What's the problem? We don't see the
Yeah, like,
issue. We've been making planes for years. One bad plane. This is the
right.
problem. Yeah.
Like, oh, you get one crash a year and everybody talking about our product
Everybody wants
negatively.
to cancel us.
Like, what is wrong with y'all, man? Out
That's
of your
funny.
mind.
That's funny.
It is the most hilarious thing ever. Like, really? This we sweeping this under the rug big time is what that look like to me. But okay, fine. Whatever works for you. We got a buy zone here on the weekly chart. That's right down here. Very strong buy zone. And then we got another something or other happening. I really don't like those middle candles being so large, but this is what the chart is giving us. And of course, for this week, it is still filling, but this is what we would say was a buyer's formation. With an actual shear formation is what I would look at up here. That's on the weekly. Then on the daily, got a gap up here, which I'm pretty sure is. I don't trade earnings, but I will chart earnings just because I am interested in seeing sometimes when earnings comes back around, because I don't chart them that often. I can always go back and look at that same chart and see what it did the previous earnings or something like that. So when I'm charting, a lot of times I'm just charting for information's sake and to sharpen my charting, but not always. As a matter of fact, I intentionally chart stuff that I won't be taking the trade in, so I ain't got to worry about FOMO, fear of missing out, because that stops me from forcing trades that are levels that don't exist just because I want to get into the trade. But this was a gap up here, and this automatically would be leg in, base, leg out. This hasn't finished forming yet, so I definitely wouldn't bank on it. But if we were looking at that as where we will be looking for our first buyer zone, it would be there. And then it's also sandwiched in the gap because of this. So there's a gap above it, there's a gap below it, and this is a seller zone up here. And this is on the daily chart, right? So since they already reported earnings, some people will wait until, maybe even tomorrow for some people before they decide to trade something that's earnings related after earnings. I would say if you were looking to, since it's pushing up like that, I probably would be looking, probably not too many premiums right about now. You might be able to get a little something. If you remember, we're adding and subtracting the volatility number from the current price, which is hovering about I would say 46. So we will be doing, let's say 46 minus 1.65. That's how we can do that. 46 minus 1.65. Can't get there you go. Let's try that again. 46 minus 1.65. 1.65. All right. Let's see what we get. 44.35. So we need to be below that. That will put you about right here at 44. 17 cents. And then in this case, what I would do is just make it a one spread, which is usually I'll do one spread. $100 of collateral. In this case, it'll be about 13 cents. It's hovering, it's moving around, fluctuating. You can always add in, if you wanted to. The way it's moving, anything could happen. But that's where I would get in at the bottom since it's pushing up right now. And the expiration would be for the 19th. So I would not be in the trade for that long. 2 days. So we're going to do YouTube AM. Put that on there. $13. $13. Now, the other thing you could do, not that none of this is investment advice, but sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes on let's say Thursday or Friday, where you see there may be an opportunity to also get on the call credit side and make that an iron condor. Sometimes you'll see those opportunities as well. So if we were doing, for example, I wouldn't put it in right now, but I would say 47.6. So if I was looking at 48 right there, do the same thing. I would do a one spread. You're not gonna get as many premiums probably, but I would still do a one spread. So that's 11. It's about the same. So you combine those two. If you were to do it today, you combine those two, but 22 is that about 22 cents? If it takes something like that, it's a little bit more than that, but I'm considering fees as part of the package. So again, earnings is past, technically speaking, but some people would go ahead and take a look at it. It is pushing up, so at some point if you got closer, of course you would get higher premiums, but that's one of the movers. The other mover is SMCI. I have been charting them for probably a year and some change. So for them to take off, I can't say that I wasn't surprised, meaning surprised it was a company, but I was surprised because it was something that I had been charting that nobody was talking about. Then all of a sudden, kaboom! They just, man, parabolic, I think is a good term for that. There's a buyer zone down here on the monthly chart with a bunch of candles in the base because they're based down there for a while. But now it looks like it's trying to find its levels. The buyers and sellers are up here fighting. They duking it out, man. Battling for supremacy. We got we got a leg in right here, base, leg out on the seller zone for the weekly. And it looks like this is trying to do something as a leg out right here. I wouldn't chart it right now, but the formation of it looks like it's trying to be a buyer zone, which would make this a zone on top of a zone if that does happen. But you can probably do leg in, base, leg out right here and consider this to be in a buyer zone as currently constituted. It has gone through this gap. So, but I will say, I haven't looked at this chart in a while, but it's interesting how they have a lot of quite a few chair formations. That's very noticeable on a weekly chart. And then here we are at the daily. Just jumped out of this zone recently. There's a couple different ways you could chart this if you so chose. Especially if you want to go by the most recent candles. Here. My thing is when there's a longer leg out, I try to take advantage of the leg out. I don't like the short leg in, but take what the chart gives you and keep it moving. So there's a couple different ways this can go down. You can do leg in, two in the base, leg out, or either one. Smaller leg in, like this, base leg out. I know of a couple people that would do it that way, actually. Either way is fine. Then some people would do this, bring this down to include this next candle in the range, right? Another thing you could do, if we're being honest, is you could chart this leg in, base. There's a gap up here. So we have a leg out, right? And then all of this would be one revisit all together. So you could do either one of these, in my opinion. It turned around here, so we know that there's clearly something there. So I would looking for a seller zone though that would make sense in this equation. I don't really see a seller zone down here. The next thing I see is up here that even remotely looks like something chartable. It's ugly, but that's what I see. And more than likely, I'll probably even do this to include that candle over there. Some people would do this and go gap in here. This is a gap. This would be the leg in, 3 in the base, leg out right here. Some people would do that. In fact, you actually would have to drop it further like that to be the most accurate. But 3 in the base and that leg out. Either way, the important thing is knowing where those sellers are. So this is one of those, since they reported what we're looking at with them, still highly volatile. Oh, wait, did they report already? Let's see. I was looking for, nope. All right. So if you were doing this one, 68, 981 minus 68. We'll do it that way. Let's see what we come up with. Shit. It's pushing up like crazy. You got quite a bit over here. Let's do this. Let's see what else we got. So if we go 9:13, you'll be down here. If you went with 9:13 to get under 9:13, you would be you do 912.5. That would be 2.5 spread. Fit it all, 50. Right? That's let me see here. Yep, 80%. Am I seeing that right? Yeah, 80%. 80% out the money. 0.17 on the delta. Right? Let's do it. Let's see what happens. Boom. Okie dokie. Let's take a look at it. Never fails that fast. Just so y'all know that. It'll never happen in real life. It rarely happens. Let me say, I will say never, but if you don't get your hopes
It all depends on what you're
ever.
doing. Bling. If you're spending money, it
Listen,
happens super fast. When you're
look,
selling, not so much.
and I ain't gonna even lie. You know when it feels the fastest? When I put the trade in wrong and I go to hit cancel. Like, oh wait a minute, nah,
Right,
player. Oh, it's
right.
gonna feel super
Or
fast
another
then.
time is when you decided that you're going to lock in a small loss and you did, and then as soon as you are finishing that order, it makes a move in your direction. Those orders
Yep.
will fill immediately too.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The market is always like got me feeling like what is it? It's
Because it
almost
see
like I ain't
you,
saying that the market is psychic, but I will say
the
it makes
market
me
is
feel
psychic.
like somebody's watching me. Like every time I look around, y'all seem to know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are this is the 15-minute at technically it has broken out, but not in a way that we would like. Hasn't made a decision. It's poking out the sides and carrying on, but hasn't really done anything significant. Whereas we would be trying to trade it. But that's when the mark where the lines are. This gap up is a buyer's gap. Buyers causes pressure up here. So with this trying to come back in here, it's going to be met with some resistance. Or shall I say, well, some support technically, but some resistance. Not going to be easy. This formation is this pole is north to south, and it's bouncing around in here. This seems to look like one of those. I'm gonna say bears flags, but triple bottoms maybe. That's what that reminds me of. So we will see. All right, so we did Mancini, we did investing.com. I'm looking for the tickers. Not Mr. Potato Head plain parts popping off. Now I'm telling you. That's exactly what these cats. What are y'all doing? Listen, the doors of the church are open. The doors of the planes are not supposed to be in midair. Is what I'm saying. For those of you who may be interested, I'm gonna put this link in the chat box. This is a link to Yahoo Finance, their calendar, and the calendar for earnings. The calendar that we normally go by is Earnings Whispers, and they do a phenomenal job of. I remember when I first started trading and heard about them, they have, I guess you could say grown by leaps and bounds, if you will, when it comes to what they're doing. It's all beautiful. The only thing that Yahoo Finance does is it give you a list of all of the other, really gives you a list of all of the earnings that's happening. So earnings whispers will pick out certain ones, um, that they feel like whatever their, I don't know what their criteria is, but this is the whole list. Like you see the Abbott Laboratories, Alcoa is on this list, the airlines. So this is, part of the group, but you get to see probably everybody that's reporting if you're interested, in seeing that list. So that's what that link is to, just the general, um, list. And this is where you can find it, Yahoo Finance. And I think it's a earnings tab, but I always have to type in earnings. I can't find it as quickly, by going to their website, but that link is something hopefully you can use if you want to check. It's a good way to see what the competition is in some of these sectors. That's definitely one of the things you can look at, but you can also find out when some of these other ones are reporting. So if it doesn't, the dates are right up here. So you can even go see what was reported in the past, if you want to check that out too. So that's really good for back testing, honestly. If you want to check out some stuff that's happened before, you can do it here. All right. Alyssa, did you want to interject something?
Well, you seem to be doing a wonderful job of covering all the goodies, right? Make sure that the first thing is I want, in the midst of this volatility that we're in, which is tremendous, by the way. So I got two pieces to this. One of them is we're in earnings season. So now that we're in earnings season, you have to be very careful, um, to watch out for areas where, like, let's say, for example, you get in AMD, right? Or you look at AMD, but then somebody like ASML had earnings last night, right? So, or this morning, I think they had earnings this morning. But my point is, you have to watch the sympathy moves. We've talked about this before, like UPS and FedEx and stuff like that. So stocks that kind of move together, keep that in mind when you're trading those things. Even if your particular stock doesn't have earnings, that doesn't mean that something else may have earnings and they may be sympathy to go along with that. So keep that in mind, okay? Or while you're in earnings season, keep it light. You could, that's another thing you can do, is just to keep it light and be very mindful. Um, that's one piece. Second thing is Bitcoin halving is happening this weekend, right? It's happening, I think, Friday the 19th, which maybe is Friday. So that's going to have some moves. So like things like Mara and Riot are probably going to make a little bit of a pop. Now I don't know if these things are going to, like, I think that I feel like that the response to the halving is kind of going to feel like it's anticlimactic. It's going to feel like what, and you're going to expect to know this big old move, and that's not going to happen. But I do believe that over time these things will start to move, and like again, Riot, Clean Spark, Mara, all the things that go along with, um, I think BITF, BTDT, some of these things will start to move. They might not pop immediately, but they will start to move along the way. I think I put a graphic into the chat about the different crypto things that Armando Pantoja said something about, that over the next 10 to 18 months, you want to keep that in mind. So that's something else to be going with. Um, and we read the charts, right? If you haven't, I know Jamie's got the thing running at the bottom for the charting webinar. Definitely make sure that you're, leaning into your charting, because we do know that's the foundation. It, of course, may not be like 100%. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because the market, I mean, things can do what they're going to do, but the charting, use that as your foundation. That's going to give you at least a place to start, a starting place. So definitely go there. This evening, or not today, tomorrow, we're going to have our next week, or I think we're on week 3 of Cash Secure Puts, or week 3 of the live coaching, which this week includes Cash Secure Puts. If you are in that in my 6 weeks of live coaching, please be sure to watch your video. Let me make sure I get where y'all can see the light. Let me see me in the light. Depending on how I'm leaning, the lights here are weird. Make sure that you're doing your watching your video. Okay. Um Besides that, I think we covered most of it. I think that's it. Thank you, Jamie.
Your purse. So, for those of you who are not in the know on the Bitcoin situation, um, the way that basically breaks down is the miners, the Bitcoin miners, they're the ones who are doing all the work in getting the Bitcoin, I guess you could say, up and running, for lack of better phrasing. The overall, let me see. I want to make. Can y'all see my screen? I want to make sure y'all can see my screen. Alyssa, are you able to see the screen? You can. Okay. Um, so what's happening is when Bitcoin was first introduced, there was only like 21 million Bitcoins that was intended to be mined anyway. So what's really happening is by cutting it in half, that means that half of what they were able to mine before is available. So it's going to create. It's creating scarcity. Is what's happening. So at some point, it's only going to be 21 million Bitcoin. Period. And so trying to get into that 21 million over like every 4 years, it gets like even less or even harder to mine more coins. So really, the main people impacted is the Bitcoin miners. But because of that scarcity, that's why I think that there will be some type of impact. It might not happen right away, as Alyssa was saying, but I expect there to be some type of movement because there won't be as many. Supply and demand, when Bitcoin first started, supply and demand was already built into the whole process. That's essentially what it boiled down to. But Alyssa did point out some Bitcoin related stock. This is not investment advice at all whatsoever. We're just looking at the chart for Clean Spark. This is their monthly chart. You're coming out of a seller zone right about now. Clean Spark is, if you are looking at like barchart.com, you may see Clean Spark on that list. For the weekly, I had it being in a little bit of a channel. And so on this chart, there was a breakout, but again, strong seller zone up here, strong buyer zone down here at about $8.32. It looked like it could possibly be trying to form a buyer zone. Who knows on the weekly? But this is what I'm seeing on the daily. There's a gap down here that it is probably going to bounce up against at some point. Who knows? And it is trying to fill a gap right now, right? So that's what that's looking like. Clean Spark, for the most part, I was usually like, I knew about Riot first, but they all roll in the same camp. So this could very well do its thing and start rising up. Who knows? But I'm expecting some type of something to be happening. We can go check and see. Now, I will say, depending on what you're trying to do with Clean Spark and probably Riot, you may not get premiums if you're looking to do something like, within the next couple of days type situation. So the Friday expiration, you're probably gonna want to get in a little bit sooner than 1 or 2 days. The premiums may not be that great. But for the most part, what I see people doing is the cash secure puts for these. So that's just that's just that's just how I've been seeing it. So if you're gonna do a cash secure put, depends on where you want to go with it. and that's different for everybody. Bar chart will always suggest something. Um, so just be careful with them because they will not be careful in a bad way, but just pay attention to what they talking about because them cats will have you way closer than you might want to be if you just go with just their numbers. But you can always do credit spread with them as well. If you feel like they're going to be going up, you can do credit spread. Whether or not you're going to get some decent premiums and all that other stuff is a different argument. But depending on what's going on with them, you might want to pay attention. Also, as our listener was just alluding to, there are probably a lot of people who are seeing this halving coming up and are probably buying some long calls with the expectation that price might go up. So it's not unreasonable that they would do that. I don't see any juicy premiums right now over here, but who's doing 12? You'll be down here somewhere. Depending on what you want to do. This is too much money. So this would be what $1,200 for 25 premium. I ain't doing that. But for $100, that's a one spread. $100, 15 for that'll be expiration of the 26th. So that's next week.
You're definitely touching on the difference between the cash secure puts and the put credit spreads, which depending on the size of your account, a put credit spread is a better move. You have the downside protection in the way of a bought option. Where if you're doing cash secure puts, your downside protection is the fact that you end up with shares. So, but one obviously, as you're saying, Jamie, requires more capital. And if you had a larger account, then cash secure puts is definitely a way to do it. Or you got to trade smaller, When I say smaller, as far as smaller stock prices. So those are the difficulties between those two.
Yep. You need that protection along the way. You ain't even lying. Be a fence. I need a fence around this trade. All right. So we're gonna put this in for this one spread. $15. That's a 15% of return on that. We'll see if it catches. All right, let's take a look at SPX again. See if we got a breakout. Let's see what we're doing here. Ooh, check it out. So it did finally break out, like right about the past few minutes, but it is hitting this area that Mancini was talking about. So you got a choice in this situation. If you try to break out, because this is such a strong push, you can do your call credit spread up here, or you can wait to see if it's going to push out in reverse, which it has done and will do. It will do it. You can't trust it. Public Enemy was talking about this trade. You know what I'm saying? So, because this thing could very well push out if it's strong enough, because, this was a gap up, right? So it is now, started filling this gap up. There's no reason why it can't start reversing course and heading the other way. Even though that's a strong leg out, quote unquote strong leg out, but we are looking at it on the 15-minute chart. So, but see how it's pushing out. So I would say I would still give it a little bit more time just to see what's going on. The first instinct would be probably call credit spread, but because this block right here could be anything happening. But let's look at it as if it was a if we were doing today, 31,989. So you want at least want to be 90. So you got some pretty good activity. I will say that for your volume and your open interest. There's a lot going on. Matter of fact, there's a lot going on up here too. Volume and open interest, some big numbers right there. If you went up there, that's 87%. That's too far away for our Alyssa. You can't, I can't warm my hands on that barrel of fire that far
Right,
away.
right. I'm trying to get a little closer to the fire, just a little closer to the fire. I mean, really, I ain't trying to be cold out here in front of the
Listen,
fire.
listen, I will wear extra layers and stay back here, okay? Um, but you can do see Alyssa like to be down here, y'all. Like, ooh,
70%, 70%. Listen,
I
if I
know.
got kids in these classes who can pass a class with a C with a 60, which I think is ungodly. A girl
I
for the other day, she says the syllabus says if it's between a 60 and 69, that's a C. I just looked at her. I was like, is that what the syllabus says? Because if that's what it says, then okay. I can disagree all I want, but I just literally work here.
see,
Literally.
I see, yeah. I understand, but them kids ain't being taught by an unpredictable market. You
Right. Those are the
stable.
hard lessons.
You stable. I can't trust SPX like that. But that's why I switched over to Russell 2000. But with it being was that 5085, so that's 79%. That's close, man. Might as well take a look at it and see what's going on with it. But then they see you see how fast I fell. That's don't be fooled. All right, don't be fooled. It don't work like that in real life. I only do PDT hacks if I'm messing around with SPX. So you got to flip on to the other side. See what they give me info. Filled at $1. Okay. So what I'll be doing is trying to wait to see what it's gonna do. That's what we'll do. Is it right? Make sure that's how I want to do that. Yeah, 4.45. That's right. Put the 4.45 on there. Good to cancel. Me. Bing. To my M. This was what, 80%? Money. See what we get. Go, gadget, go. See, it don't never feel like that. This is ridiculous. This will never happen in real life. It never happens in real life. Matter of fact, that happened so fast that I got to check the trade to make sure I put it in right. That's how fast that happened. Like, no, that's not, no. That's the spirit of deception where I'm from. All right. So can't trust it. Yeah, that's go have grandmama get the blessed oil and start praying because that happened way too fast. All right. So just so you can see what that looks like, this trade is locked. It was a PDT hack. I got in on this side, the call side, right? Call credit spread. When that trade accepted, I went exactly on the same strikes and I went the opposite. I flipped it. So where I bought over here, I sold over here. Same strike. Where I bought over here, sold over here. Same strike. Sell, buy, sell. Same strikes. I added what I wanted for my profit, which is 40. $40. And when the trade locks, now I just let that trade do its thing. It'll expire. I'll get the email saying, hey, man, we're doing our exercising and assignment thing, just so you know. But I get the difference when they settle the tab. And that's a good way to get into a trade, have it lock, and keep moving. You don't got to be stressed out about anything else. So I like those. Also, the most important thing, it frees, well, two things. The PDT hack, I guess this would be three things. Make sure that's, I do them only on cash settled. Okay, the cash settled indexes, that's it. Me, I personally like Russell 2000 now, but the other thing is it frees it up for a day trade. You ain't got to worry about burning one of your day trades, right? Because I got in the trade in and out, just the way it plays out keeps me from having to use the day trade. So that's always a plus. And then once the other side locks, it frees up the capital. So that's also another bonus. So my preference would be to mostly do PDT hacks. All right. So this is what's going on our 15-minute breakout. It is kind of, I guess you could say, stuck at the bottom here, finding its way, but it still looks like the sellers are still trying to push down through here. So there is a trend line right here. Again, this is just on the 15-minute chart, right? But this is what's happening in terms of a trend line. That would be higher lows right here. So you see that this is a channel. If you want to create a channel off of it. So there's no reason why it can't start making its way on up out of there and heading up.
If you're talking, you're on mute.
Am I? I'm on mute?
Well, I got it muted.
Nobody, y'all can't hear me? Nobody. Oh, they said they can hear me. All right. Thank you.
I cannot hear. Uh-oh.
All right. Thank y'all for bailing me out because I was about to look at this equipment. Like, see, let me rebuke the devourer. So anyway, this might be pushing out. But we don't know what's going on. But this type of formation looks like something that might be trying to head up out of there. But remember, this is Mancini's numbers up here at the top, 5085 to 5088. So that's one thing to look at, but we'll see what's going to happen. All right. Let's get you all nice and tidied on up. We're going to do our E2T daily declaration. By faith, I am a successful trader. I'm a wise and knowledgeable trader. I make smart and lucrative decisions for my portfolios. Money likes me. Dinero me encanta. Because money is comfortable around me, it is drawn to me. E2T daily prayer. Lord, give us wisdom and knowledge for our trades today. Help us to make smart and lucrative decisions for our portfolios. All right, everybody. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is currently up 0.13%. The S&P 500 is currently up negligibly 0.01%. The NASDAQ is down a little bit, 0.22%, and the Russell 2K is up 0.23%. The VIX is down 2.01% to 18.06 All right. You all have a great, wonderful, marvelous, profitable trading day. Okay. If you're in the Telegram group, we will be posting the Mancini numbers immediately. And we do two things around here. Our job is to stay green and get this money. All right. You all have a great trading day. We will talk to you all later. If we don't see you in Telegram or in the market, we'll see you on our next call. Y'all have a good one.